I decided to go the long route to replace the problem with my cam tensioners. And what I had to do was obviously remove the gas tank. Now that gas tank is removed. And my next step is to take the rocker cover. This is a rocker cover right here, and there's one for each cylinder, and this has to remove so that I can take the push rods on the cylinder. There's two push rods for each cylinder, and they're right here. So that has to come off first. Those push rods have to come off in order for me to take the camshaft tensioner and the whole entire assembly here on the bottom of the engine. I could have gone the short route. The short route would have been to just replace the push rods. They come with an adjustable one, and in doing so, if I go with the adjustable, I don't have to remove the rocker covers, all of this assembly. To do that, and all I had to do was to cut the push rods, the old ones that are in here, cut them off with a cutting tool, and then put the adjustable push rods in place of it. But since I have a problem with this rear cylinder, the gasket on this rocker cover is starting to leak, so I will have to replace that gasket anyway. I decided that this would be the way to go, and also to get a better understanding of the entire assembly of this engine, and get that experience, knowing that I was able to do that. So one of the things that I'm finding is that because the engine is still on the frame of the motorcycle, the frame is rather low and it's tight, and on this side of the engine, accessing the bolts that are underneath this frame is tight. So I have to go through that obstacle, and hopefully the rear cylinder, this one, the frame is so close that hopefully that there's enough clearance there to remove that bolt. There's 6 bolts that holds the rocker cover in place, and then I will have to do that, remove the rocker covers off, and then I'll be able to remove the push rods, and then I can continue on with replacing that entire assembly down there with the newer hydraulic cam tensioner. So that's the project, and wow, I can say that it's not going to be a fast fix, and I'm just going to go ahead and just take my time and just go step by step, and we'll get this motorcycle running. So, but it has to be done, because I don't want that problem with this cam tensioner to go bad on me and then damage the entire engine. So what you're seeing is the old bearing. As you can see that they're spaced out. This is supposed to be a very bad design. So there's not enough bearings there, and eventually will probably wear down in time. And if any of those bearings come loose, that's it. You'll have a bearing failure, and pieces would fall into the cavities of the engine, and that would be catastrophic. And this is the new bearing that I'm installing. You notice that it's got a full set of bearings. They're not spaced out. Better design. Adjustments had to be made to the bearing puller jaw in order for it to fit into the cavity of the bearing housing. That is too long. Okay, here's the bearing, and that's sticking up too far out. So what I need to do is I need to shorten it, like this one here. It's already been shaved off, and this is how much it is sticking out from the rear. So now I'm able to put that inside the bearing in the engine, and we'll be able to catch on the edge here, whereas this one is too long, this area, so I'm cutting it this short. I'm here outside my house, and decided to work on the cam bearing problem of trying to remove it. It's 3 o'clock in the morning and I just couldn't sleep, so I'm going to try to see if I can remove that bearing and ease my mind. So we'll see how it goes. I found this handy tool provided by Harbor Freight Tools, and was very fortunate to find it because it's no longer available. It's been discontinued, so it's on a clearance, and I found a source in my area. It was only one store in my area that had it, and so I was very fortunate to find it. But this is what I needed to pull this bearing, and I had several attempts of obtaining supposedly the right tools to remove this bearing, and in both cases they failed and didn't work for what I needed it for. And you can also obtain the tool through Harley Davidson, and the cost of the tool was just totally outrageous. It was running around close to $600, and I bought this tool for $12 on clearance. And I found out about this tool through the Harley forum. A couple of people have used this tool on their motorcycle, and they claimed that it worked. So and then I saw a video on YouTube. One of the Harley owners had one, and he was successful in pulling the bearings with this tool. So for $12, it's the best investment I ever purchased on a tool. I could have bought another tool that would have ran over $200, similar to the one that Harley Davidson was selling for $600, and it turns out that you don't really need that expensive tool to pull this bearing. I've already pulled this bearing, and that's basically how it would look. And the teeth, as you can see, it would spread, and it would hold the bearing and it would pull it out as you turn the this shaft. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with the second bearing. As you can see here, this one has to come off. So I'm going to do that, and we're going to insert it. Insert the teeth in there, and then once I insert it, I will turn the shaft to spread the teeth until it's tight. And so I can tell that it's tight and the teeth are spread on the other side on the inside of the bearing. And then we'll take this support, the feet support, and put it in somehow. Oh, let's see. There's one there. And get the other one in. Takes a little bit of adjustment. But once we get it, there you go. Tighten that up. Right there. Tighten that up. And then the other one. Let's see if I'm going to do this. Tighten that up. There you go. And turn the knob down. That's the okay. I think that should do it. Now, get the wrench and start cranking. Yep. Let's see. Yep. It is coming out. Pulling that bearing out. Here it is. Getting close. Just turn it with my knob. There you go. There's your bearing removed. Okay. So, part 2. Installing the new bearing, and I guess I will do that tomorrow. And this fabulous tool is is done its job. Boy, I tell you, I feel like I need to contact Harbor Freight and tell them that they need to keep this tool available, especially for Harley Davidson owners that would like to work on their own motorcycle to take care of this problem, because this tool is really valuable. I mean, it is just fabulous. Okay, so we're done. Before the installation of the new bearings, you must chill them in a freezer for about 20 minutes. And the bearing opening inside the cam housing, they need to be heated with a heat gun for about the same amount of time. Tap it in while it's cold. I'm using one of the cams as a tool to install the new bearing. However, keep the old bearing in place and use the old bearing as a way to seat the new bearing in position. Get right in. Ooh. Yes, sir. That looks good. Look at that. This is Friday morning, August 19th, and I will be installing the cam today. Okay, so before I install the cam plate and the cams, I need to torque, and I'm using thread lock to secure the bolt so that it will not vibrate loose. And what I need to do is torque the bolt onto the inner belt tensioner, and you have to use a special torque wrench to tighten the bolt down to a specific poundage. And I'm gonna tighten the bolt down to 96 pounds using a torque wrench right here. This one's set for 96 pounds. And I just wait for the right 96 pounds. There you go. Try it again. Try the other one. Okay, that one's good. All right, so now we've got the bolts tightened down to 96 pounds. And I will now install the cams. This is the cam already assembled to the cam plate, and you're seeing the new improved tensioner, and that tensioner is in the inside. We still have one more tensioner to install. That will be the outer tensioner, but that is the new one, and that's the new cam plate. and I will install this on the engine. And also I have already installed the oil pump, much larger than the original. It's about 20% more oil capacity as far as output, and I think it's because of the tensioner being that it is hydraulic. So that's what I'll be doing today. Okay, so I'm going to install the cams now, and got to make sure that the timing mark are aligned. Guide it through hole. There it goes. There are 6 bolts that goes in, and then again I will put the Loctite. And I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Should be one more. There it is. Okay. Be faster use. Okay. Here we have these the bolts to secure the oil pump, but we'll not tighten this yet. We're just going to align it first. Okay, and the remaining bolts will stay out there until we align that water pump. But right now we're going to torque down the bolts, and they have to be follow a sequence. I torqued the bolts to 115 pounds and the oil pump at 96 pounds. Okay. Okay, now so I'm going to torque the bolts to securing the oil pump, and I'll torque it to 96 pounds. Okay. Oh, I tell you, it's snug. Oop. Uh-oh, got a problem with this one here. Let me get that tool inside. 2, then 3. Okay. And then 4. Okay. Okay. That's 1. There you go. Installing the outer. Belt tensioner or chain tensioner. As with the inner chain tensioner timing mark alignment, it is equally important that the timing mark on the outer gears are aligned. So you need to align the 2 dots, and there is a guide etched on the cam plate that you need to also align with the 2 dots. And the cylinder must be set at top dead center, and you do this by rotating the rear wheel, putting the gear to the highest gear, 5th gear, and make the adjustment. And then we'll torque that to 96 pounds. There you go. There you go, it's 96. That's it. Then pull the pin. And now, all I have to do is torque these, but I need to get the special block to keep the gear from moving. So I'll pick that up tomorrow, and we'll finish this installation of the cam plate and the cams and chain tensioner. Okay. I already completed the installation of the cam chain tensioner, and put the cover already on there, and torque all the bolts according to the specs of how tight they should be. So the next thing I did was install the base of the lifters, the cam lifters. There's 2 cam lifters on each of the cylinders. One is the exhaust, and obviously the other one is intake. So that's already assembled, and now I'm going to put the push rods in, but also each push rod has a push rod cover, and these are the covers that house the push rods. Now push rods these are what the push rods look like, and they go specifically to a certain position. So this one is the front, and then the rear is lighter in color. So that is the rear, and this is the front. So I will put this in there, and then I will secure the push rod covers in place And this is very, very tricky. Before I do that, I need to also check to be sure that I have the rubber gaskets in there. If there's no rubber gaskets, these are like O-rings, rubber rings. They look like this, and they have to be there, otherwise we're gonna run into oil leaks. So here's the tricky part, is to compress. I gotta find my, oh, there it is, screwdriver, and press down. Find a way to, this thing is spring loaded. Press down, and then here is the locking mechanism that holds the push rods in place. So I have to press it down. There you go. It's in. All right. So my next thing I need to do now is to work the top of the cylinder. The rocker cover and the rocker plates have to be installed on here. And then once that's done, it's pretty much finished. The engine itself is all complete, and now I just have to install the exhaust, and that's it. And oh, the gas tank, it's got to go up here. So that'll be another taping that I will continue to provide as we complete this fix. So there you go. I have the rocker plate already installed on the top of the cylinder, and in the process now to tighten the bolts in the sequence, and what we have to do here is to make sure that the bolts are snugged in to the plate. Just 1/4 of a turn until they're snug. And before I installed the rocker, I had to make sure that the piston was at top dead center, and so that there is, the push rods are at the lowest point. Okay, that's it, is snug there. That's snug there. And snug there. All right. Now we have to wait until the push rods or the lifters have bled down, because it's under pressure right now. And basically, I already did that. I waited for about 15-20 minutes, and the bleeder, I mean the the lifter's already bled down because that's moving and that's still a little tight. So I think we're going to wait another 10 minutes and then we'll be back to see if they have loosened up a little bit. And it's moving a little bit there. I think they're in the breather valves. We're gonna torque that to 110 pounds. Let me set my 110 pounds. So the front cylinder is complete, and I'm going to move on to the rear cylinder and do the same thing back here. And after that, and then we'll put the cover on the cover to the top of the cylinder, and I should be done. It's time for me to torque the bolts now. The rear cylinder poses a problem of torquing the bolts for the rocker plate because of the motorcycle frame is in the way. And so in order to allow the torquing of those bolts, you need a special tool. And this tool can be purchased that can be applied to the bolts and attached to the torque wrench. But I made a modifications to two-spanner wrench and was able to successfully accomplish the task. I'm in the process of putting the cover, the top cover now, to the head, and install the gaskets. I think this is the front. So I'm going to torque the cover. Actually, I'm going to do that. What I need to do. Now that I have the engine already completed, and my next thing that I need to do is to install the exhaust. And this is the exhaust pipe. And this one will go to the front cylinder. It should be challenging because the fitting is got to be just right again, in alignment. Oh, wait there. I finally finished the installation of my exhaust pipes. Boy, was that a challenge. This is the front cylinder exhaust pipe, and had a had a challenge of trying to install this pipe onto the cylinder, because this was the first thing I had to do was to work on the front cylinder and to put that pipe in place. But there was a piece of gasket, a round ring gasket that had to go between the pipe and the opening of the cylinder, and that was quite a challenge to hold that in place, because it was just loose. So miraculously, I was able to position the gaskets in place and then secured the pipe. But as you can see, there's a lot of bends, and so it was kind of interesting to try to get the bends properly put in place. And now we're moving towards the rear cylinder, and here what I did was the same situation as a gasket, and instead I thought, okay, I'm going to have a challenge holding that gasket in place. So you can see the gaskets right there, and what I did was I just put super glue on the gasket, and then just installed it on the opening of the cylinder wall, or the opening, and let it sit there to dry, and it held the gasket in place. At least that way I can position the pipe properly, because again, we're dealing with bends here, and it will only go in one direction, or it will only go in a certain angle. So that kind of helped. And now, complete installation of my exhaust pipes all the way to the end. My rear fins there. Okay, so my Harley's finally done, and there was a little bit of hiccup along the way, and the problem was a gas line that had to be replaced, and I ordered the part, and it took a while to get to me because UPS lost the part, and it was the only part available at the time when I was ordering. And so just so happened that I found another supplier to furnish me the gas line that I needed for the fuel tank. So now that is installed, I think we're ready to start it up and see if the motorcycle will run. Also, I installed a new tailpipe or exhaust pipe on the motorcycle. I removed the old one. It was a fishtail, the one I had originally, but this one is about the same also. But I was going for a better sound for the motorcycle, to give it a more of a Harley sound to it, and we'll see how it sounds. So let's go and check it out. I will start up the motorcycle, and hopefully everything will work out okay. Okay, here it goes. I just can't believe that was a success. I mean, it was an experience for me. I've never done this install before, my first time, and it was quite a bit of a journey, because I started on this project towards the middle of the summer, and I'm glad that now it's all over, and I'm going to be able to ride the motorcycle. Well, today is the day that I've decided to take the Harley for a little ride just in front of my home, just down the street, to see how the engine performs, and how the new muffler sounds with the new installed cam tensioner. So we'll see how it goes.